sound on the screen.
Let's get some sound checks.
Let's see if it's gonna go. Bit of a sec.
Not seeing it in my followed.
Buffer. It probably holding up its buffer, so it's gonna be like probably 10 or 20 seconds.
20 seconds delay on there, yeah.
Right, we had turned it up because internet was bad.
Something like that.
Something like that. Oh, it's because they're playing ad before us now.
Oh yeah. That means we made it, right?
I mean, yeah, obviously. All right, there we are. Let's check my volume. Hit me with some checks, boys.
Check. It's Jesse.
Check. 1, 2.
Wait 20 seconds.
Alright, we good. Sounds like everyone's good.
Tight. I'm
Cool.
fucking excited for you nerds. The nerd.
Yeah, let's nerd.
Word. Ivan, would you like the honor of introducing us, or would you like me to?
Sure thing. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This is From the Horse's Mouth, a subsidiary of How to Kickflip a Horse. This is our first Saturday of every month stream in which we hang out with a buddy of ours. So far has been each time another dungeon master, including myself and Ari, but Ari couldn't make it today, so we got Jesse, who has, I know, some DM experience, but the main event here is our good buddy DJ Yev of How to Kickflip a Horse theme song fame, and also Ayeva on SoundCloud. How's it going, Yev?
Learn how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to learn how to pronounce it too. Thanks.
I took a swing. I don't know if I hit or not.
No.
Ayeva?
It's right. I can't decide myself. I like multiple pronunciations of it. But
Fair enough.
Yeah, thank you for the warm introduction. It feels nice to be the main event.
Well, thanks for coming. Yeah.
I feel like
sure
you're
thing.
one of our most highly anticipated guests. I don't know if I can speak for the people.
I'm flattered.
I consider myself the voice of the people in the podcast, so
All right.
I speak for the people, and they say that you are the most anticipated guest that we've ever had. So, congratulations!
Well, I'm flattered.
I'm excited.
You're highly anticipated by Jesse at the very least, and highly anticipated by your.
That's the only
your
one
iced
that
tea.
matters.
True. That's if we've learned anything from the last several months of doing this show, it's that. But yeah. So you wanna the last couple times we've done this, I reckon the way we started off was just a general like what's your history with like D&D and tabletop games in general.
Yeah, so pretty recent dive into D&D in the grand scheme of people who have played, but I think it's just over 2 years since I've been playing. So my roommate started a game, like he had played before, and we were kind of just like sitting around talking. Like I was basically doing the thing new players do, is like, I want to play, but I don't know anyone who will DM for me.
Right.
And he's like, well, I've played like 5 sessions. Why don't I learn how to DM? And
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
so then we play 3 sessions of his, and I'm like, I could do this. So I started way in the deep end by deciding to write my own homebrew in a custom setting.
Damn, right out the gate, huh? Yeah, why not?
Did not know what I was getting into. Burned out fast, but still doing it like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Oh, the same campaign? Or just you mean
campaign still? Yeah.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Very impressive. Yeah. It's got to feel like your baby, right? Like.
It does to an extent. Like after this this current sort of storyline that we're in, I am probably going to take a little hiatus because it was just so much more work than I realized I was signing up for. And I need some time to like think about what's happening. I think what happened was early on I was doing like all this like writing and like trying to make sure that like I have ideas for where like what I imagine to be the main plot is going, and then my players took a sharp left into something I had not planned for, and now I had to come up with like, well, how's this gonna work?
Pretty classic experience as a DM so far.
Yeah, so I mean that kind of
old adage: no plan survives contact with the players.
Nope.
Yep, yep, that's exactly
Never
it.
does.
And the funniest thing about that is I actually talked to two of my players the other day, and that decision that sent them on the current storyline was so long ago that like I sort of felt comfortable revealing some things.
Right. Here's where your path might have led.
You guys really took a left turn there, and they were like, that wasn't your plan the whole time.
Well, that's a huge compliment, right?
It is, I think. Like,
I'd say so.
Apparently, the plot since then hasn't been phoned in enough for them to have noticed.
That is another way to look at that, huh?
The hasty reskin of certain NPCs and place names and map layouts. I mean, I've absolutely done that. Like, I had basically an entire dungeon that, admittedly, this was my fault because I didn't look at the pre-published map closely enough. But there was a fucking secret door on the map that I somehow didn't see, but my players found.
Of course they did.
And they skipped the whole goddamn dungeon. So I was like, well, that kind of sucks. I put all the work into this dungeon. But then I was like, wait a second, they don't know where they're going next. I can just use this as the next dungeon, and they won't even know. They won't know, and they won't care. I'm just gonna swap the monsters out. It's all the same shit.
Yeah.
So it was great. They were just fighting. What were they? They were doing. That was so long ago. I can't even remember. I turned it from a fight in a jail to a fight in some caves, pretty much. I was like,
cool.
Fine.
Is the cave not just a jail with metal bars? Or, you know what I mean? Jail, not just a cave with metal
The
bars?
jail is not just a cave. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Made of bricks and bars and such.
Mm-hmm.
Are we not all in the cave of our own existence? That some Plato shit?
The real cave was the jails we were in along the way.
Spoken like a true dungeon master.
The jails were the caves. Oh, too deep.
Nope. We're killing this one. This one's clock is dead.
The viewers are in. But before we move on, you've I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's only been 2 years, and I think that's really awesome. You definitely are a person who dives deep when they get into something, and it's really awesome to. It gives you a really nice, clean timeline to see growth. You know what I mean? So it's cool to see.
Yep.
It's very cool to see. Just wanted to add a little tidbit.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Am I remembering correctly, Yev? Did you also comparatively recently only get into guitar also?
So into music production very recently.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got back into guitar after like a 12-year hiatus.
Oh, okay.
I got you, but you had played before.
Yeah, I had a bunch of muscle memory. I had a basic understanding of like chord shapes and scales and
Cool.
And
right on.
A pretty internalized sense of like rhythm. And,
Sure.
like,
Becomes like riding a bike after a while.
Yeah. So that definitely made it easy to jump into and get,
Very nice.
pick up the guitar skill again.
Get back to it. That's awesome.
But yeah, the music production has been just over a year now. Pretty much start of the pandemic kind of hobby.
Yeah. Originally titled the Untitled Quarantine Project.
Yep, I figured it was time to retire that name. Since the hobby lasted longer than most of my hyper obsessions.
Oh yeah,
love it. So I think we've talked about your name almost as much as we talked about you since you've gotten your new name, at least. Where did that come from?
The name?
Yeah, Ayeva.
My name's Yev, and I just basically I knew I wanted kind of like something that didn't resemble a word, but also wasn't like kind of the sort of generic cheesy music producer name like Mord Fustang or not to
Skid Rolex.
Is that an actual person?
Yeah.
Oh,
Mord
that was a real example.
I didn't mean to call anyone out. I just meant that's not what I was going for.
We're direct here. We stab you in the front here. We're good.
I mean, I enjoy Mord Fustang's music. I just think that name it's just not what I was going for. I was going for something that sounded like it could either be a Celtic folk singer or a metal band or whatever.
Yeah.
It just felt abstract and open enough. So I just kind of
I like that.
Typed a whole bunch of iterations that sort of include my name.
Cool. A sprinkle of gender fluidity in there.
Yeah, for sure. I just picked the one I like best. And funny enough, when I was sort of getting some people's opinions, but helping choose between options, the one criticism of Ayeva was, how do you pronounce that? And I'm like, I'm not sure I care.
Yeah, cool.
There's plenty of artist names and human names that get mispronounced all the time. Whatever.
Sure.
I like all of those.
It's not about it's about recognizing, not about a trivia contest.
Yeah, exactly.
I always say language is for communicating, not being pedantic.
Yeah. Although it's very good for that.
It's also it's close enough to symmetrical. It's five characters. Looks cool in basically any font. Looks cool on the back of a jacket.
Yeah.
The 9 Inch Nails philosophy.
Yeah. One small vertical line away from being a palindrome, and you can definitely do the Metallica style logo with it. And those, I think, are
totally,
two of the most important things when considering a name.
The lightning bolts coming off the outside descenders of the A.
I drove by a company the other day who had a name that lent itself to doing that, and they did it, but only on one side, and it fucking bothered me.
I mean,
it was just the one.
I think it was like an M and an N and an A or something, and the N had it, and the A just didn't. It was just like the rest of the font without the lightning bolt end, and it just drove me nuts. I was like, they set you up. This is T-ball, man. Like, come on.
Why didn't you finish the sight gag, man? Real life sight gag, opportunity missed. They probably just did it. They were it formed in a vacuum. They'd never heard of Metallica, never seen that logo. They were like, yeah, we're an electric company, so I put a little lightning bolt on the end.
There's something satisfying about the asymmetry too, I feel like.
Yeah, it gives it a little uniqueness, just because it's just slightly not.
Little unpredictability for your eye brains.
Very cool.
Yeah. I don't know if I actually have. I probably don't have that handy.
Damn, I'm literally looking at
Give me 1 second. I have an example.
Thinking I really need to extend one of these A's.
I can't wait to see the Metallica version of it.
Yeah, I might be time for.
It's cool. Let me know when
alternate logo.
Let me know when I can pick up some merch.
Support. Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
I got a button maker.
Not something I'd actually considered. I figured there's the only people who hear my music anyway are people that I'm friends with, and I'm not trying to like.
Well, you know that.
Like, hey, give me money. Oh, well, there's some random guy in Ohio who keeps streaming one of my tracks.
Oh, sick.
And that's awesome.
The sort of asymmetry, like aggressive asymmetry.
Yeah.
We had a similar thing on a koozie we made, but it was more falling apart. I always thought that was really fun.
Yeah, definitely interesting for the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
but yeah, no,
you're not trying to like sell yourself out or anything. Like,
yeah, like I'm kind of just like
I would
playing
rock
with the concept.
shirt, though, I'm just saying. That's all I want to throw out there.
Good to know. I'll put you down on the tally list. You'll be the very first tally.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, number 2 right here. Why not?
Let us
all right.
be your fan, boy.
I own exclusively band shirts, so I'm into it.
Perfect.
That's dope. Love a good print brand.
Have you guys seen the new art on my SoundCloud? I commissioned some art and like this would be a fucking sick T-shirt.
I'm about to. Anybody that wants to follow along at home, you can check the link.
Yeah, go to soundcloud.com/Ayeva music if you want to see it. Shameless plug there, but I think I can actually
encourage it.
Yeah.
You call them in Hakuna Matata? Are we talking about the same thing?
Is that like a zombie Barbarella in space?
Yep. Basically, my prompt was like Iron Maiden's Eddie if he went to a EDM show and was playing guitar in space. And I think this fucking kills that prompt.
Dude, I could. Your logo, I could totally see on top of a poster. Just like the name, the way it's written, like a headliner kind of thing.
Yeah, thank you. I like it, and I was trying to do the same thing where it's like if you look at like they just like all look the same. Well, no, that's a bad example, but like that one specifically, like that font. I don't know if you can see.
This is exactly the kind of poster I was thinking of. Something that's like a like an EDM or a jam band kind of thing. I'm trying to think of the one that happens in. Oh damn! I'm just completely losing it. I don't even know.
But yeah, it's super interesting how font design can communicate so much. I feel like about what you're trying to do.
Absolutely,
totally,
absolutely.
And
sets the mood.
Kind of going for like retro futuristic vibe, like sort of a chiller Tron vibe.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that's kind of like how I imagine the sound of the music I'm making, sort of like this 80s dance version of metal.
Yeah, okay.
Get that for sure.
Groundbreaking. The future of music. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
It weirdly is. Like I was just like, I want to make the thing that I want to hear but haven't heard anywhere. And then I started hearing it everywhere now. Like maybe that's just the name. So specifically,
you willed it into being.
Yeah, and I found a couple
genre
that were already doing it like for a while apparently that I just hadn't heard of. But like, I got on TikTok this year because I needed some way to lose time. And I guess it's the algorithm just works super well because it showed me a bunch of that exact kind of music.
Okay.
Because they're listening. They know what you're doing before you do, man.
They put me in a box quick, and it was the correct box.
I like it here.
Yeah. This is weirdly comfortable. Yeah.
It's like it was custom designed to make me buy stuff.
Is there? I mean,
Oh.
we discussed merch. Is there anything in the way of like, I don't know, you're gonna hand out mixtapes at the club?
Oh yeah.
So that costs money, and it's like kind of like
and like a stack of blanks.
It just is physical media. Like, does anyone listen to a CD? Like, how would you play a CD right now? Do you have
In my
a
car.
optical drive somewhere? Right.
Yeah.
Boombox on the shelf. Wink. Next to my terror wall.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I
got a whole shelf of CDs and tapes. I don't know. I feel like compared to like, I get what you're saying, but there are ways that you can do it, or get it done rather, if you're like okay with a blank tape in just a J card sleeve or whatever. You know, that's not. I wouldn't call it prohibitively expensive. It might be something that you have to like consider before you do it and make sure like rent's not coming out the same week or whatever. But like, and it's also, you know, it's always also cool to like have you know, something like a keepsake. You know, like all those tapes I have are like from bands at shows I've gone to or played at, and it's just like I got this thing because I went to a cool show.
That's my favorite
And
part of it, yeah.
and on the rare occasion that like I don't know, the internet's out, I've taken it on camping trips a few times, like way out in the woods where fuck the phone. And you know, it's not like super convenient, but you know, you grab 10 good tapes and you have, you know, have enough to listen to every once, you know, over the long weekend or whatever.
Yeah, tape actually seems cooler to me, and maybe that's because I'm old.
I dig it.
But-
I like tapes because I feel like they're more durable and they are smaller. I have a handful of CDs and they're like, you know, they're good stuff, but they get put on less than the tapes because I'm worried I'm gonna fuck them up, you know. And like I wouldn't take them in the car or anything, like, because no, they're gonna get left in there and then they're gonna turn into a puddle of goo.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. It's also really fun, like just designing like the J card and stuff, like the art for what becomes the album, like seeing like your idea take on that physical manifestation.
Yeah, so that was, and that's kind of the difference, I think, in terms of like getting back to it costs money, where commissioning album art is just like, I want to have, you know, art inspire art kind of thing. So
Sure.
that didn't feel like in the same way that like making merch or like pressing physical media feels like, I guess, an upfront investment in something that I'm trying to get a financial return on. Like,
Sure.
you know, I primarily started making it because I enjoyed making it, and it
Definitely.
feels good to have something that I created. Like, I'm only recently starting thinking about like, maybe I would like people to hear this and see if they like it who are not in my Facebook friends list.
Sure. Would you ever think about doing like a live show?
I would consider it, but
I mean, like, you know, COVID shit notwithstanding.
yeah. And, it's definitely something that would be interesting. In fact, one of the musicians that really inspired me to kind of like pursue this genre, like he does a really interesting thing where like, I mean, the music's very synth heavy, and there's a lot of layering and instruments, so like there's no way I'd be able to play the whole song by myself, like all the parts, but and also there's like not always enough consistent guitar that's that interesting that I would be
Right, you wouldn't want to just
performing.
stand there having the laptop play while you're waiting
right,
for the
exactly.
guitar lick.
Just standing up there with the guitar not doing anything. So he does this really interesting thing where like in Ableton you can like set up all this automation and stuff. So he basically knows what part he's going to play when. So he's got like some pads, MIDI controller, keyboard, and his guitar, and like is constantly switching between those with like this like long hour-long set that he's set up, and that's really interesting. It's something I would consider, but also I would like to play music with other people first, because like, it's been 12 years since I played guitar or done anything musical, and I think the confidence around like playing music live is not really there. Because primarily what I have to do is like I can take 10 takes and then like adjust the timing or whatever in production, but in terms of like rehearsing, that would be something that I really have to think about. But yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Hell yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I had a good point for a second there, and then it was gone. It was almost a transition back to D&D stuff. Not that I'm not enjoying talking about music, but
I was actually can you get back to D&D?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. We've been one thing I did want to ask earlier was about the experience level of the parties that you either run for or play with. Like, is anyone else as inexperienced as you? Like, you mentioned the guy that you play in their game started like shortly before you, or like had a 5 sessions you said under his belt. So like,
right. So it was almost all noobs.
Oh yeah, no shit.
So it was kind of a slow start there, but
in both games.
So in the first game that I played in, the one that my roommate started, it was almost all people who either haven't played before or like had a couple sessions under their belt. But we lost one of the party pretty early, just like they stopped showing up, flaky. And we got someone who was much more experienced. And there's something to be said for that, because he like just opened the door to all this like role play and kind of like set an example, like kind of like finding our feet from like a deeply playing your character perspective. And he came in as this like fully fleshed out paladin, like knew what he believed in, like
his homework,
his character believed in, but yeah, like really set the stage, and that, like, I think he made the game. He is a very, very creative guy when it comes to role-playing games.
That's awesome.
I found some stuff off of him for my campaign.
Very cool. Always good to have that bud.
My campaign is, so my roommate plays in it, so we've got that like back and forth. Really annoying, because we can only talk to each other in vague generalities when we're like
as DM and player.
So that's kind of tough, because like we get out of a session and like want to talk about it, and there's only so much I can say.
Right.
But so he's in my game, 2 other complete noobs, and then someone who I think has played a bunch, but played before this mostly in online games. So like Roll20, I don't even think they like do camera. It's just kind of like, I think, more of a mechanical game. So like, interestingly enough, he is the least interested in role play. So the one with the most D&D experience, he's kind of just like, let's fight something evil.
Sure.
Very
dungeon crawler.
Right.
Like, we're the good guys, we're the protagonists, give us something to kill. And I trained the rest of my party early on that, like, for the first 10 sessions, like, any encounter they got in was a moral dilemma. Like, there was no clear who's the good guy, who's the bad guy.
Nice, like KOTOR 2. That whole like first 5 hours of that shit, no matter what you do, you're like, fuck, everything's fucked. God damn it, Star Wars. God damn it, Kreia. Why are you so mean?
What's so cool?
Yeah,
I just want to help people.
To get that reference, but that tracks.
Yeah, it's it's all like the gray Jedi. Like,
like
sometimes good things have negative consequences. You're like, I'll give this orphan some food, and then the orphan gets mugged, and you're like, well, that doesn't. You're kind of missing the point there, Kreia.
She's like this like old, like it looks like old lady from the swamp. Like she's like got these like white dreads coming out of a hoodie, and she's just very cryptic. And then she's like, I don't give a shit about choking this person to death. But I also
she's like the first party member to be like, well, we could just kill these people.
Yeah.
Like,
your options are to be like, what? Or like,
have families.
Man, in KOTOR 1, when you could make the Wookiee kill his Twi'lek companion.
Oh man, yeah, that was terrible.
Oh, that sounds awful.
That game got me into a bad habit of always going to good side, because I believe that good side will be more difficult. It like with at least maybe the Star Wars games.
I mean that tracks with the overall mythos. The dark side's always portrayed as the quick and easy path to power.
That's true. That's true. It does fit nicely.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like in D&D 2, like the easy solution is like, all right, we'll do an encounter. Right. We know the rules here. We don't have to like think too hard about it. We don't have to solve the puzzle, the interpersonal dynamics of it. Like,
right, we can just kill our way through this.
Yeah.
Just let's go murder hobo. It's been really fun. Like the one party I DM for that previous guest of the show, Adam, was on, or well, plays in. I've come to realize that it's not that they're not like intentionally murder hobos. It's just that it takes convincing. Like you have to be like, but think of what could happen if you don't kill your way through this. Think of the benefits. And then all of a sudden they want to fucking talk to every dragon or orc they see, and it's like, well,
yeah, there's
maybe not
balance to be struck. Yeah. Like you put someone that's obviously, or to the DM's mind, obviously,
right.
It's a good lesson to never assume anything's obvious to your players the way you thought it through, because that is likely not going to be how they see it.
Definitely. Yeah, I try to. I wonder if it's like subconscious that I sort of avoid those things, or if it's just that I don't run campaigns that it comes up in. But like, I don't know. It's a style of play, for sure. And as long as like everyone agrees to it, it's like.
You mean like more kick the door style?
Yeah, like there's. Yeah, exactly. Kind of lost my train of thought on that one. I'm sorry.
I apologize if I helped derail that train.
No, you were trying to put it back on.
But yeah, no, the flip side of that is definitely like you put the obvious villain in front of them and they're like, no, we can save him. And that's actually, that's to get back to what I was saying earlier, that's literally how they took that left turn into. So
they befriended the big bad.
So there's like the little bad and the big bad, and none of my players are watching this. How many people?
Spoiler.
Yeah. We can talk about that off the air if you'd like.
So no, it's fine. The little bad was supposed to become the big bad without them knowing.
Oh.
But the little bad, basically his conscience is in hell. Like he lost part of his soul, and that's how he became
I gotta
a little
be
bad.
A little pedantic here. Hell or the abyss?
Ooh.
This is not in a D&D setting.
Okay, but put it into my mind a little.
Just
more.
regular hell.
The god of the underworld, or is it like
it's more so Hades?
Okay.
It's very much based on, so like the
Very specific with my hell lore.
my setting is based on an existing fictional property.
Okay.
So, and like one of the themes there is just like basically every god actually exists. Like the pantheon is not specific to any like singular culture. It's just like
just all of them.
Yeah, and I think maybe, you know, like it's basically every supernatural or fantastical entity that exists in this world. It's sort of like a self-aware fantasy story. So I was like, yeah, this would be super cool to run D&D in, because I can basically do anything, and it's not like outside of the bounds of this world. So
sounds
it's
like American Gods-y.
It's sort of like, have you ever watched The Magicians?
Oh, I watched I forget where I dropped off. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, so it's based on that. So I get to do weird things where like when you're waiting for Charon to bring his ferry over, like there's a literal like ticket counter, and like there's those like roped off things like in lines where you got like the thing that
velvet rope.
You connect them, yeah. So
Cordons.
and they're literally going up to get a ticket in one of those like red deli counter ticket things. So I get to do like weird stuff like that, even though it's like Greek hell.
Sure, that's fun. Like love a nice genre mashup.
Yeah, that's
just like really mismatched imagery.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, and then the ferry is still just basically like a wooden ferry.
Yeah, just
like
style, like.
Yeah, exactly.
More people dying these days. They had to upgrade their infrastructure.
Yeah.
Marine.
That would have been pretty good. But yeah,
build a bridge.
So they were supposed to basically defeat the little bad, fight the little bad, and think they got him, and he was eventually going to replace the big bad. But instead, they decided to go to hell and get the piece of his soul back, so he wasn't evil anymore, so that he would help them.
That makes him not evil.
The big bad. So yes,
that
it actually does.
I love the idea of you could physically change somebody's alignment by moving their soul sits in the extra world.
So here's the thing. The little bad is like sort of he got that way several years before, when he was trying to defeat the big bad. He failed. In the process, lost his conscience, so he became like pure id, ego, like fulfilling his basest desires. So if you return his conscience, he'll have a traumatic couple weeks as he comes to.
He's gonna have to reconcile all that.
So it's like this conscience soul ball moved to hell. Is that like?
It died. So when there's a soul separate from the body, it goes to Hades.
Right.
It has to go to
he's not dead. I'm sorry. He lost.
So part of his soul.
He died when that.
It's a piece of his soul.
Okay.
Which is separate from his body now. So it goes to the place where souls go without bodies.
Okay, got it.
No, he's got 95% of his soul still.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, he
just lost the important part.
The important part.
The real important part. Okay.
Like a member of society.
Okay.
Sure.
I was having trouble understanding if he died and this process happened, or if this is something that happened to a living being who continued living afterwards.
Yeah. So
that one.
Gotcha. Yeah, he just got really injured.
Just got all fucked up about it.
Yeah.
He had a metaphysical amputation.
Yeah. Nobody escapes childhood.
Wow, what a way to put it.
Yeah, I like that.
Will that lead to a metaphysical phantom limb?
Ooh.
Interesting.
Maybe when they complete their quest, he goes through a period of harsh overcorrecting.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a traumatic month as he reckons. But
interesting.
Cool.
So so now like they messed up my whole clever thing where he becomes the big bad. So now they're basically doing this so that he can continue what his life's mission was defeating the big bad, and he's more powerful than they are. So they're like, yeah, why don't we just go save his soul so he can help us? And I'm like, okay, out of game. I'm like, so you decided that instead of fighting like one level 10 human, you are going to go to literal actual hell to try and get help because you don't think you can do the medium thing. So you're now doing
you have chosen hard mode.
The hardest thing.
I mean, I can't say I blame him. As a player, I feel like I've occasionally inconveniently tried to do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I've also definitively done the opposite. You were when I remembered the thing that I was gonna say when we were talking about murder hoboing our way through stuff, and like the player not necessarily recognizing or even caring that like an NPC might be important. And the example was in the other game that I play in, which is also a sci-fi game. The whole party is, I think all but one of us are like specifically criminals in origin. Like we're like, you know, like lawbreakers. Just works basically. Like my dude is a sentient suit of battle armor who, upon gaining sentience, decided that all he wanted to do was rob people and like gamble. And he's basically Bender. I've come to realize that wasn't at all intentional at the beginning, but it just sort of became that. And so like we went through this whole thing. We like found this font of this drug called ether, which apparently has some connection to this divine realm and can give you wild ass superpowers if you do enough of it. And we found it bubbling up out of the ground in this ancient temple. In its purest form, and then this like gang of pirates showed up and tried to like stake the claim on it before we could do it. We killed all them. We stole their ship, found their like photos of their kids on the dashboard and shit. Got shot down.
That's how you let that shit sink in. It's
got shot down by these other dudes that were after us. Crashed into a town, ran and hid. And then just promptly started selling people drugs. And on the way, there was like one of the Terran army was like trying to like corral people, and we just shot him. Like as we're like walking past, we're just like, oh, fucking space Nazi, get him! Just like pop pop pop. And the DM Chris was like, he was just like, oh, you don't want to talk to that guy, that one lone soldier all by himself against this mob. You just gonna shoot him in the head. All right, cool. And he just like dramatically flips 5 pages ahead in his notes. I was like, well, shouldn't have made him a space Nazi if you wanted him to deliver exposition. We've been pretty clear on our thoughts of pretty much everyone at this point. That's also the campaign that we accidentally got an entire planet destroyed.
Accidentally.
I love the scale of that.
It was pretty fucked. We were making a career of kicking several large hornets' nests, and it didn't go well for much of anyone except us. We got off the planet with several $1 billion. It was great.
All right, shit, hell yeah!
Wow,
it was awesome.
Yeah, that's like
most successful heist of Hugo's career.
What's the town you can blow up in the beginning of Fallout 3?
Oh, fucking Megaton.
Yeah. It's when you go full evil and blow up Megatron.
Well, so the other thing that's fun about that is that we're not even like we never like I don't think we would have as quickly resorted to such like violent and extreme measures if primary enemies hadn't been cops and military dudes through the whole thing. Like,
Right.
the DM like literally described them as space Nazis. He's like, oh, they're Earth supremacists. I was like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's gonna.
I will not. I will in this fantasy realm where I can kill people with impunity. I'm not letting space Nazis get out of here alive. No fucking way.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we go direct for it. It's like when our team sees somebody in a cage, we're like, no, we don't like people in cages.
Yeah, people getting exploited, or yeah, it was another thing we did on the planet before before we got it destroyed. We did manage to get a bunch of robot pleasure slaves safely off the planet. We don't know what happened to them. We think they also probably crashed their ship on a different planet.
Well, you did your best.
But we tried. Sure tried.
Yeah, you did your best for them.
That speaking of plans not going well, and speaking of this campaign, that we left that on a cliffhanger in which my character was paralyzed and taken onto an enemy, the Terran flagship, essentially, which we had just programmed another ship to autopilot, like collide with.
Damn.
In 2 hours. So I have 2 hours to regain my ability to control my own body and get the fuck off that ship.
Wow.
And we've been on this cliffhanger for like 2 fucking months. It's killing me.
Oh my god. If he pulls
And
out
that's
a physical
the last
5-minute
thing I'll say.
timer, I'm worried for you.
Oh man, so spicy.
That would be so brutal. Just an actual time limit.
Love it.
That would be awesome.
Speaking of cliffhangers, should we take a tenor?
Yeah, you want to do a short break here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say,
You know what?
say-
Yeah,
say-
cool.
Let's leave him with a cliffhanger. Say something cliffhangery. In the
And what? Yeah.
Stay tuned to hear about the time I kicked an actual hornet's nest.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. All right.
I'll tell you about the time I
thanks.
told the story of kicking a cat.
No, what'd you do that for?
I'll tell the story when
Well,
we
we'll
come
tell him
back.
after the break.
Monster. All right. Well, thanks. Thanks for sticking with us, everyone. We'll talk to you guys in 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Keep hanging out.
See you soon.
See you in a bit.
Yep.
Ooh.
Whew, I can't find my...
How's it
Alright,
going? I find your what?
I have like a type of eczema on my face, and I take this medicated lotion for it, and I can't find it since the move, and it sucks.
Oh, dang.
No
No good. Alright, bud.
Rough.
It's whack.
So you guys got to get yourself like a hold screen, right?
Usually Ari has one for us.
Okay.
This is our...
I tried to cover for it.
Yeah, no, you.
Oh, you
killed
did.
it. I
You
was
did
actually
great.
really
Thanks.
stoked about that, yeah.
Appreciate that. It was a good ad for sure.
Yeah, I've been spending enough time in Zooms that I'm like,
Yeah.
I gotta have some
Gotta
cool
set
stuff.
up.
In fact, my favorite one is this, but I don't think I had. I don't think I had consent from Stella to put that up. Oh, actually, no. There is blanket consent because Ender uses it on his stream.
Oh,
He's got it like rolling constantly in the like four corners of his screen. It's
my
fucking
God.
hilarious.
that's so
Nice. To be used in perpetuity.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
Hell yeah. Well, speaking of in perpetuity, say what do you guys think about for the last half? Maybe we go through some of these questions that I got off of Reddit and
Sure.
answer them as. I guess we'll do from the DM point of view and the player view because Jesse's here. Not that Jesse's never DM'd.
I think I'm down.
Less frequent.
I'm down. Can I tell the cat
Alright.
story though, so people don't think I'm a monster?
Oh yeah, we gotta
Yeah.
we gotta resolve our cliffhangers. Good call.
So Ari and I played in a game before this. He DM'd a game in which I played a rogue, a half-elf rogue, and we were pursuing this witch and her familiar, this black cat. And we were not friendly. Like, it was fight on sight. And my rogue had just acquired this item. It was a sweet item that we thought had connection to something bigger. I don't remember exactly the details. But this cat took a leap at it. And I managed to reflex save and keep it. And I just kicked the shit out of the cat. I was like, if I can, I'm just going to kick this cat. And I think I natural 20'd the kick. And it, like, bounced off the wall. But I've recanted this story several times in public or semi-public, and the only part people hear is me talking about kicking a cat. And I'm like, no, I did not. I would never actually kick
Not
a
in
cat.
real life.
But in the game, I kicked the fucking
But in
shit
the
out of
game,
him.
I
Don't
punted
forget
that
it.
little motherfucker. He tried to take a rogue's treasure. I don't think so. Not today.
Not today. Well, I'm glad that it wasn't a real cat,
Yeah.
but I do still think you're a monster.
Now only the people that heard that and left think I'm a monster. The rest is
Like I'll never need to hear the end of this story.
Should have stuck around for the break.
yeah, exactly.
Ev, you want to tell your Hornet story?
Oh, I didn't have that. I was just trying to
Oh,
come
that
up
was-
with a cliffhanger.
Love it.
That's one
of
cliffhanger
quality.
that will never stop hanging.
But later this afternoon.
Oh, interestingly enough, my players did fight a bunch of bees recently.
Awesome.
Cue the Nick Cage.
Are you using you're using 5th edition?
Yeah.
Right on. I know in Pathfinder, swarm monsters are extremely deadly up to like 5th level, and you're like, what harm's a swarm of rats gonna do, or a swarm of fucking centipedes or whatever, and then you're like, oh my god, there goes all your
awful.
HP, and now you have bone fever.
Yeah,
We-
got a million hits.
We fought some rats at like level 2 in a sewer in the game I play in.
As you
and I was
do.
like, why is this so fucking scary? We're all about to die. But yeah, it wasn't actually a swarm. It was 8 or 9 giant bees.
Oh no.
And they
Are we
were
talking like Donkey Kong Country giant bees?
basically, yeah. But they had like the upper body of a woman because they are the Melissae,
Okay.
like the Greek goddess that like I think the story is I don't think she's like a full goddess, but I think she makes what's it called? ambrosia, or what's the other word for it?
Nectar?
Chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So they had to steal some for the Furies. And so they had to kill a bunch of these goddess bees.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Do you find that you mostly homebrew your monsters and stuff?
I usually grab something wholesale and just reskin it.
Sure. You just find something with the ability that you like, and then
right.
call it whatever.
Exactly.
Classic move.
And even less so. Like, yeah, sometimes I'll like mix and match like some abilities that I like or whatever. But yeah, basically I'm just like find the closest thing and just use it outright, because I don't have the chutzpah for this that I had for the first session. Like, it's so funny. The first session, you know, you spend like 4 months planning, and you're like, got all this stuff, and like I had physical props for their items, and I was like planning to reskin every spell, so it sounded like it made sense in universe, and then I quickly was like,
sure, that's biting off a bit much.
Nope. Yeah. First off, the spells that I did write down for my players that used the alternate names, we don't remember which spell they're supposed to be now. So
nobody kept that legend.
Good luck fucking looking it up.
Got him.
Oh, you just roll
truly forbidden knowledge.
Just roll a dice and pick them at that point. Just write it down.
Yeah, basically.
Right. Be any 1d6 of these possible spells.
Yeah, I know it's probably one of these. It rhymed with. But yeah.
Right.
Iremaw.
Right.
Fireball, but slightly different.
Oh, okay, got it.
Firefall.
I really missed that one. Yeah.
I got it.
That actually reminds me. So there's a show in Baltimore called Whose Role Is It Anyway? And they basically play D&D, but sort of like Whose Line Scenes from a Hat. So like the audience, like for the half hour before the show, just like they've got a stack for spells, a stack for items, a stack for enemies, a stack for clerical boons, and I was pretty. So last time I was there, I made one of the enemies Jeff Goldblum, and that got picked as like the main enemy for that session. And previously, without knowing that they were going to pick Jeff Goldblum, I got one of them to say, "Life finds a way," like earlier in the session. But back to the spells thing. For items, I put in Potion of Peeling. For spells, I put in Peeling Word. It just felt like something vague enough, but like with enough improv potential. And I ended up using Potion of Peeling to fight a 46 gnomes on a skewer.
Oh no!
So he did he did like a fire breathing thing and covered them all with this Potion of Peeling, but rolled an 8, so they all just basically had like sunburn and were just like peeling.
That rules. I did a slight something similar. One of the players, a regular player, was had to take like a extended hiatus essentially. So to explain that at absence while the rest of the party was continuing the adventure, we said that he had holed himself up in his room in the inn to study this tome of draconic lore that they had discovered in the previous dungeon. And so I gave him, I didn't give him that much. I gave him access to like 2 bonus spells he can use once a day, I think. But when he uses them, the one's just like a regular fire breath spell, and I forget what the other one is, but whenever he uses them, he immediately gets sunburned, and he gets 2 patches of dandruff on his head.
Sounds like me.
Right?
Yeah, basically. I gotta put sunblock on here now.
Yeah, buddy.
'Tis the season. I was working on my my burn base coat the other the other day. We had some barbecue action going. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's pretty much gone by now. But I had like the outline of just one of my sunglasses not sunburned.
Nice. I see it now that you said it. I can
yeah,
see
just a little bit. It was like a red crescent moon almost.
Beautiful.
Because I was just sitting the same direction the whole fucking time I was out there like an asshole. At least I remembered to put sunscreen on eventually and didn't get like the fuck burnt. So let's do some of these questions from the old Reddit. Here we go. Let's start with a softball. This is from user Jack Meaden. I don't care if I'm saying it right. They ask, how do I tell my GM that his campaign is boring?
Ooh.
My best friend is now taking my role as GM and running his own game, but every encounter so far has been with his homebrew monsters, and it's getting very boring. Every fight is the same. We fight an extremely OP creature, and then some NPC saves us, or we fight for what seems like an eternity just so the creature could say, "Oh, I'm done playing," and go use a broken, unbalanced ability that we have to waste every resource we have to stop. Every time I try to use Dispel Magic, Detect Magic, or Identify, it's always either technology or some kind of creature that cannot be detected. Sounds like kind of a bummer.
Yeah, like a bummer.
The beginning part, I was like, well...
Right.
Then...
Yeah, it was easier to answer in the first half. Like, that's just sort of a, hey, thanks for DMing. As a player, I think I would enjoy this more if this had more elements of X, or like, it's a collaborative thing, and like the more I read about it, the more it sounds like this guy's trying to like shoehorn his idea of what he wants to play. It's just like a gentle way to say like, well, no, like the guy who's currently DMing, like he has a very like it's at the same time like we're doing what I want and also like sort of being combative, like, and this comes with time. Like, there's an instinct I think early on to like want to foil your players, like kind of like throw them for loops, so that like that technology or undetectable thing like sort of seems like that's where that's coming from. So like maybe with more time, but like saying something like, hey, I would love some more opportunities to learn about the lore of the world. I would love it if we did like some more puzzle solving stuff as opposed to pure combat all the time. Or like, hey, it seems like there's a pattern with these last couple enemies and it sort of feels like it's becoming predictable. Like, how would you feel about changing up the combat sort of situations a little more?
Yeah, because like any of those like reasons to have an enemy, whether it be like a technological thing or just a it's undetectable because it's magic, kind of only works once, maybe twice before you're just like, well, come on.
Yeah, you got to give your players something to let them feel like they're doing something.
Right.
Like
exactly.
That's the whole point. It's not you versus them, and that's kind of where it seems like it's up in the air whether this DM would accept that advice based on what I'm hearing. But the idea is we're all doing this to play together and tell a story that we all like and all feel like we did something. Like, you got to give me opportunities.
Collaborative, not adversarial. You win the game when everyone's having fun.
Right. Like if you roll a good detect magic, that's how they solve the puzzle. Even if you got one solution in your head, you gotta kill your darling. Like,
yeah, definitely. I was gonna say that too. It sounds like a new dungeon master who is being a little over precious about their little creation. Little baby creation,
very
world
analysis to me.
And I mean that's just like the. I mean, it goes to show just the overall importance of communicating clearly with the people that you're playing with.
Right.
You gotta. I mean, that's why you have a session 0. You make sure that everyone's on the same page. Because like if the DM is like, hey, like I'm, obviously I'm new at this, but I've been working on this story and I've worked really hard on it, and like I wanna get through like it as a whole, and like are you guys cool with that? Yeah,
Like go with me. Don't like go to do side quests. Like if I'm wink wink leading you somewhere,
right?
Please go there.
Right. Can we rely on you guys to like stay on task, or are you gonna want to play more of a sandboxy sort of setup?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, for sure, that's like it's not as though like you say I will DM and then a lightning bolt strikes you and you suddenly gain all of what to us with some experience seems like common sense. But like
I had to learn it.
And but it's not like there's anything wrong with being like, hey man, like you're my bud, and I'm like the idea of this is fun, and it started off fun, but these things aren't fun.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got if they're good, if they're really best friends, you should be able to be honest and just be like, hey, I'm not attacking you. I'm just letting you know what my experience is.
Yeah, and if you can't take that, then he shouldn't be DM.
Yeah,
it's just simply not the case.
And,
that's just
and in the unlikely event that he is like viewing it as like a me versus the players type of situation, well, that doesn't really make sense because then why would he have a NPC come and save them? But in that event, this base question aside, like in the event that someone is treating D&D like adversarially, that sort of game, like there's plenty of other games that do it better.
Yeah.
You could play like what's the one like Hero Quest or whatever. That's just you're just in a dungeon and the one guy can just hold all the cards and be like, all right, fuck you.
Right.
Now you're fighting a griffin riding a dragon.
I've always loved. I think it's a credit to the way that you and Ari DM. I haven't experienced you as an actual DM, but I know in like our games we allow the players to have a lot of influence in how the actual story goes. Like there's never usually a hard like nah. It's usually like very much yes ending. And I think we all feel like there's a lot less of like, hey, this is the DM's thing that they're bringing to the table, and more of like yes, there is that, but there's also this great aspect of like the DM's very open-minded to letting the players change some very significant aspects at any given time, and just contribute to the overall story, and it's less work for the DM.
Totally.
It feels more congruent, collective.
Honestly, some of the coolest ideas are like players going, "Oh no, is this what's about to happen?"
Right.
Like,
you're just going
here, and all of a sudden,
now.
It sounds a lot cooler than what I had planned.
Right, and a too stringent DM, will choke out opportunities for that to happen, and it sounds like that could also be potentially happening here.
I did that a little early on.
You what?
I did that a little early on, just like writing too far ahead and being stuck to what I knew had to happen 2 sessions from now.
Right.
But yeah,
right before you sort of got the hang of the malleability of that plot sort of way the DM creates the plot.
They skip some stuff, put it over here. They kill the guy who was supposed to do exposition.
Now it's a different guy.
Surprisingly, his twin brother just walked up.
Exactly. I meant to mention that earlier when you were talking about your little bad no longer being able to usurp your big bad. I was gonna say this is now an opportunity to flip that and make what the players up to this point, like the old Final Fantasy style boss ending, where it's like no, the big bad is the little bad. There's a bigger bad.
Well, yeah.
And they'll be like, oh no.
That's your figure character's backstory, right? The one with the samurai skull. Didn't you? I hope I'm not spoiling anything in any of your campaigns, but didn't you have them face somebody who they thought was going to be the big bad? Who just
You're talking to me or Yev?
I'm talking to you, Ivan. Who was immediately murdered by a bigger bad, at the beginning of the fight?
That was an idea for a character's intro that I had that actually wound up going pretty substantially different, and not really because of anything the players did. Well, I guess technically because of. I guess it was because they took too long more than anything. But yeah, so I had this. I just introduced this character who's he's like a not a general, but like a leader of like a small elite squad of these orc samurai dudes who are from the like other continent where the samurai shit goes down. That one of the players, their character is a half orc samurai from this land and like knows about these dudes. You know, like disgrace and all that stuff, and now he's on the run or whatever. And so my initial idea for this character, if they got to a certain point in a certain amount of time, essentially, was to have this guy who like through like rumors or whatever has been painted as this like huge badass. Was basically gonna try to showboat his way through a boss fight that was too big for him and too big for the party. Like that was gonna be the okay, now you run. Like now it's a chase for the rest of the game.
Yeah, gotta go.
And so they wound up just. I mean, they missed it by a couple of days. The opportunity to like hit that cutscene, but so the way that character got introduced instead. I thought it occurred to me after they missed the window that it would be way funnier if instead of this guy being like a grim dark you know, like heartless killer, I just played him as like an encouraging uncle. So like he keeps it, like not quite calling him sport, but like essentially like treating the samurai player as like a oh, isn't that cute? He's trying to be a samurai, and like you know, you know, being like, you know, back in my day, they used to say like, you know, tips for sword maintenance and making fun of his shoes because the player stomped some rats to death in the very beginning of the campaign and then pulled them onto his feet like awful little flip flops.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so now I think they hate him more because he's like he is like genuinely being encouraging. Like he's like, you know, I understand what it's like for a young orc on the road, and like no shame from me for abandoning the honor of the Jade Throne or whatever. It's like, they're just like this fucking guy.
That's awesome.
They were in a boat fight, and the samurai got knocked into the water and was like, "I'm gonna swim back to the opposite shore." And I was like, "Your dude, the guy's name is Ziduga." I was like, Ziduga's standing on the shore, and he frowns in disappointment and yells, "Orcs don't retreat." And he was like, "Ah, fine." Swam back and rejoined the fight.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, like we said before, no plan survives contact with the players, and ultimately, I feel like that wound up being a lot more fun.
Yeah.
You had mentioned physical props for the games. Ivan, you've done that too. Do either of you have any handy you could show off?
Could grab. I think I've shown off one or two of these before, but I can grab some stuff down off the shelf. Do a little show and tell. I'll be right back.
Yes, please. It's my stream now. I've taken over.
Yeah, one sec. Let me check. I think my players may have them still.
Oh, okay.
But
those are the best kind of props. The ones that the players get to keep.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Thank you for joining us on the stream, everybody. Give a quick couple of shout-outs to Commander Root, Jarvasaur, Matt, thank you for coming in, helping us with some audio feedback. Own, thank you. Sounds Alert, thank you. We appreciate you. Surplus, appreciating you. Vatican City Magoo, appreciate you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. Appreciate you, Ivan. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Spending your
Oh,
time with me.
I just realized that I've not on the Twitch window. I've been only on the Discord. Thank you, Mr. Diamonds. He still says you're quiet.
Yeah, I can pump it up a little bit. I'm trying to monitor my feedback. I'm new house, new mic, figuring it out. We know my audio. It's always low. But I'll just be louder. Yay.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yelling.
I've got a door I can shut to my room now, so that's good.
Amazing. Not just stairs.
Yeah. I think I might actually get some of those like sound dampeners for the walls.
Oh yeah, some baffles.
Yeah. That's a fancy term.
You got enough space on it on the wall there right behind you, unless you're gonna hang up some other stuff.
Yeah. I was planning on decorating it to set up my camera shot. This is also a little bit of an experiment for a camera shot.
Nice. But yeah, this
oh
is
my God,
paintings are on the far wall.
Yeah.
Oh
your
wow.
shot's nice. Yeah. Both of you guys.
one of the.
Shots there.
Gosh, this has a lot of. This is quite a dusty boy. He's been up on the top of the bookshelf for quite some time.
That's
But yeah, this was a boat
sick, though.
that I made out of a shoebox for one of the chapters of the last campaign I ran, and it sort of, this isn't going to be any good way to show this really, but the deck
that's
pops
great.
up and off. I want
That's a great
to.
view.
It's a little delicate, but yeah. So, and I got all this shit in here. I drew some decks.
That's awesome.
And made these little guys. These were from the Pathfinder Adventure Path, or Adventure Path Strange Aeons. So there's a whole chapter where they're on a boat going from one country to another for like a month, and then while they're on the boat, they go on these dream quests to get these dream relics. And I gave most of them to the players in that game, but I have a couple of them left. This was a ghoul skull, or a mummified ghoul skull. This was the foot of a creature called a womp.
Wow.
Which, this was the signet ring of a weird duke or something who was getting married to a giant spider.
I love how eldritch this sounds.
Oh, it's like the H.P. Lovecraft campaign.
Is it?
Okay.
It was very dope. It was honestly like one of the. It was the first campaign I ever ran start to finish.
Yeah,
and
I knew that. Yeah,
it's like one of the best like published adventures I've seen.
That's awesome.
This was a crystal of some sort. I forget where this actually was meant to have come from. What are these? Oh, I only have a few of these left, but I made a bunch of these little books. There's a bunch of, or well, not a bunch, but there was like a big puzzle that they had to solve with clues from each of these.
Oh, cool.
Very nice.
Made them little sleepless agency badges.
X-Men, nice.
Fun, babe. It's meant to be an eyeball with a X-shaped
that's super cool.
pupil.
I like that.
Very cool.
See, I don't have a paper mini handy, but then the last one I kept was this, which is a little tricorn hat. And so Pathfinder has those little paper pawns that you stand up, and I made it so it would sit on one like that.
That's
Very
cool.
nice.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. This is one of the most involved crafts things I've ever done, and unequivocally the part of in-person D&D that I miss the most.
Yep.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So fun building stuff and making stuff, and even just like drawing the maps out physically instead of like
Roll20.
putting up the JPEG on Roll20. Not to diss on Roll20 or anything. Obviously, Roll20 fucking rules, because we wouldn't be doing this, I don't think, if it didn't exist.
They put food on our table.
I don't think I'd go that far yet. They put a couple of wish list items into Ari's account, but that's not food on the table.
We're affiliated. You could say we're affiliated.
I think
that's
we got
the term they
I think we got the opposite of a cease and desist, which was like, keep it up, sport.
I remember when I was a young
Pat on the
samurai.
head, yeah.
Right? And Roll20 gets murdered by the boss.
So I actually did find a couple props,
Yes.
not like the really physical ones, but so this one's the one that I actually put some work into.
Ooh. Is it tea dyed?
They,
Tea stained?
yeah, either tea or coffee.
Hell yeah.
Or no,
Cool.
I think I actually might have just like toasted it with a lighter.
Cool.
That's actually exactly what I did.
Very
It's
cool.
burned because they very early on were at. They're basically at like grad school Hogwarts, but dark.
Nice.
So they were in the library early on, and they were fighting these books that had come alive and were like flapping all around them. And one of the books that they burned to shit with like a fireball or something dropped this page, which was a clue.
Hell yeah.
It's signed by the Little Bad.
Nice.
Oh shit. That's awesome.
And so instead of using potions, most of my stuff is I just felt it was kind of skin better if it was like a spell. So I made them a spell scroll basically of
Oh, cool.
potion of healing.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
And then this is, I can't remember exactly what this is. I think it gives one of them like a buff to their AC.
That's cool.
Some type of sigil.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, the other big thing that I made for that campaign was this guy. I bought
What do you mean
that
by
is
this?
gross.
on the old eBay. It's like Evil Dead promotional. And then
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I taped a bunch of shit into it and wrote a bunch of stuff about
Ooh.
history and the world and the critters in there. It's a bit. It's pretty cheap, falling apart, but it's a lot of stuff in here. Cut out the
Clever.
pages from the adventure that I'd printed out, put them on there. There's some spells and shit, and timelines. And then I didn't get to work on this section as robustly as I wanted to, but I had was gonna write little character summaries for each of the player characters, but I cut out some of my favorite quotes from their characters during the campaign for the notes.
Dude, that's super.
This was our bard Dio Ronnie James, spelled all Elfie.
Was he a
we
cleric?
got-
Was he a holy
He
diver?
was
Holy
he was a
dungeon
bard.
diver?
He was actually the one who wound up using the Necronomicon in the game and ultimately destroying it. It drove him insane, but not too insane that he didn't do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
His quotes are, "I'm just feeling sassy. Blatant display of pyrotechnics. I already threw up. I had 17 99-cent beers and 1 cocaine."
Good shit.
Everyone's...
Yeah, no. Cleric.
You ever think about being a nunchuck?
Would be fun for a holy.
Oh yeah, we have this one, which is the campaign record for most damage in a single attack, which was done by this character Canon. 486 damage.
Jesus Christ. I'm
pretty sure that was right at the end. I unfortunately do not recall the exact circumstances of that huge fucking hit because
that's
I cut
fucking
out
war crime levels of damage.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering
Is it
correctly,
like
I
fireball to
think
multiple critters?
what was going down. Oh, fuck, I don't remember. Okay, so it was one of the chapter bosses who was like a fungus beast spawn thing, just like a tower of sentient fungus. And they were also fighting a former party member who had turned evil on them and gone insane. Remarkably unrelated. Turned on the party of their own volition for their own reasons, and then fell in with the bad guys, so that I could resurrect her as a boss later on. I'm pretty sure what happened was the barbarian picked up Druid, the former party member, and used them in beast form. I think they had transformed into a giant squid and used the giant squid to beat the fungus monster to death.
I think I remember you telling me about this.
I'm pretty sure that was where the 486 damage came from.
That's awesome.
But it was, I think there was a couple nat 20s in there, and it was like pretty late game. They were like level 15 or 16, so he had humongous action economy at that point.
Did somebody choose to be eaten in that game, or did I make that up?
Yeah, there was actually a couple of times when Cannon got intentionally swallowed. And then, miraculously, both times was able to burst the thing from within. I think one of those times was a nat 20 that was the high damage mark for a long time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was a hoot.
That kind of reminds me.
Stuff like that is what makes the game so dope. So dope.
Have you guys heard the it's been like sort of memey recently, the way to manipulate conjure animals?
No.
So conjure animals has no text that says the animals must be conjured at ground level.
Oh no!
And it measures how many you can conjure by CR. And I'm pretty sure a cow's CR is like 1/4. So you can conjure like 8 cows at 60 feet up, and it ends up being like 48 D6s
oh my
of
god.
damage.
Just from the sheer weight of them, that's amazing. That's like the peasant railgun kind of idea.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the peasant
Brilliant.
railgun? I haven't heard that one.
I think it's like if you get 1,000 peasants lined up, just peasants because they're not even like, I think they're like 1/4 CR or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you have each of them prepare an action, and their action is to pass from one hand to the other, like a javelin or something. And so the fact that all of that would take place within a 6-second round would mean that javelin is traveling at like, I don't think it's quite light speed, but it's like some huge.
You can approach it. You get enough peasants, and you approach
for sure.
light speed.
It just it does some like ridiculous amount of damage theoretically. I don't think any like I feel like if a player was able to construct that scenario without the DM like catching on, there's no way in good faith they could be like, you can't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like the call in a vacuum is like, yeah, but it's still just a ranged attack by the last peasant. Like it gets there really fast.
It's a piece of wood and metal. It's not a warhead. It's not a custom designed projectile. For like it would probably, like, I mean, honestly, if it's going that fast, it would disintegrate before it reached its target, probably.
Yeah, I mean, but like, so that's like the physics interpretation. You know, I think my DM interpretation is like, okay, well, that last peasant is going to throw a javelin.
Sure, he still has to roll for it.
Right, like what's the last peasant's attack roll, and how much damage does a javelin do? Like it just comes to a sudden stop, and he's like, and he's a 1/4 CR peasant, so he basically breaks his arm trying to throw.
I'd make him roll for every success.
His arm just comes off at the shoulder and stays on the javelin as it's chucked in effectively.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, fellas. Well, I think on that note, we should probably wrap it up. We're approaching 3 here, and I've got beers to shotgun. But it was great hanging out with you and chatting with you, Yev. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And who knows, when we run out of Dungeon Master friends, we'll probably ask you to be on again.
Hell yeah, I'd love to come back.
Yeah,
and thank you again for your rockin' tunes. Everyone listening out there, make sure to check out soundcloud.com/AYEVA music.
We've been working on an acapella version.
Yeah, we've been having sound troubles the last couple episodes, so we're working on our cover, our acapella cover.
Amazing.
We wouldn't dare show you without the whole group, but
Oh no, you need
have
Tommy
to
on the.
tune in.
You need Tommy's bass and Paul's vibrato.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I'll be
Means
waiting for
something
that
else.
recording in my inbox.
Hell yeah. Anything else you want to plug besides your SoundCloud, Yev?
No, I don't think so. That's all I got.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. As always, you can find us on Instagram at How to Kickflip a Horse. You can find us on YouTube at the same.
oh no, I'm sorry to cut in. No game Thursday, right?
Oh yes, I don't know if you guys are going to do anything on Tuesday.
No, I'm not gonna.
Probably not.
I mean, Ari might do Zelda solo.
Right on. Well, keep an eye out for Ari on Tuesday doing who knows what. And then Thursday we're going to be off because I'm going to be out of town. Ari, again, might do something. Jess is going to be... Well, you're not going to be out of town anymore on Thursday.
We're hanging out in real life. We won't be hanging out on Thursday. We will be in a hot tub. We will be drinking.
Oh boy, am I going to be drinking in a goddamn hot tub all week. It's going to rule. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out.